And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And for me, that was the part that was so French. And I enjoyed it, really appreciated it. Kasi dun ko na-feel yung pagka-French nung libro, tsaka nung setting, tsaka nung character niya. Hi everyone, this is Paul Loves to Read, and as you know, in this channel, it's all about spreading the love and joy for literature, and we hope our little channel helps you find the right book for you. And for today, we're going to share about this book. It's called The Margot Affair. It's a debut novel by Sanae Lemoine. I hope I'm pronouncing her name right. She is half Japanese and half French. Published in 2020, so it's fairly new. As you could probably tell, the story is about Margot. Margot is a love child. She is a secret love child of a French politician and a French actress. And when she turned, I think, 16 ba siya nun? The story revolves around her teen. I think she's around 16 or 17 years old, wherein she finally decided that she does not want to be a secret anymore, and she wanted to test the waters to try to find out what would happen if I suddenly tell the world that my parents have me. And then that's where the story kind of revolves, and that's one thing leads to another, and so on. So that's the gist of the book. Yeah, it's heartfelt. Yes, it's heartfelt. Very character driven. Very deep. I enjoyed the book. It is very sneaky. It's slow burn. Nothing happens. Not a lot happens at the start. So it takes a while to kind of. You feel like it takes a while for things to pick up. But like I said, it's a sneaky story. You don't realize it, but you are slowly getting invested in Margot's story, in her life. There are moments where you as the reader would feel frustrated in some of her confusion kasi she's a kid eh. And to you as a reader, probably the decision making or the next action is obvious, but to her as a teenager, it's not. So I appreciated that because Margot is really written as a teenager would. It's very on point on how teenagers behave and how they react and how they feel. Margot is scared but also wants to test how far can she go until something breaks. She takes just enough risk to test the waters, but then she would always pull back and realize that, hey, maybe I can't do this. So it's very typical, right, of a teenager to try and do that. So that's the hook. And throughout the story, it explores her relationship, her very confusing relationship with her mother, the love-hate relationship with her mother, and also her love for her absent father. So there's that question wherein why she would always long for the dad because the dad is not always there. Parang ganyan. Kasi nga, she's the second, they are the second family. So that's the hook. I have to say, very satisfying ending. The way I described it is, it has a very cathartic ending. You kind of, you feel that release with her in the ending. So it's very satisfying. And I think that was written really well because that is hard to pull off. Especially in a story like this, in a coming-of-age story. In a coming-of-age story that technically is not a new story. We've heard this all before. It's not new. You see it everywhere in real life and in books and movies. So it's hard to pull that off, but it's written really, really well at the very end. So yeah. Honestly, what hooked me is that it has good reviews and it's a good review for a debut novel. And also beyond that, I got curious because she is a French writer. She's a half French and half Japanese writer, and she is writing in a French setting. I've never really read, or maybe siguro matagal na, but I've never really read a book in French setting. So I got curious kasi that's where you see the differences, the little differences in a culture, right? When you're writing in a setting. So I have read Japan setting, Philippine setting, Italy setting, American setting, and so on and so forth. But French, parang hindi pa. Recently, in my recent memory, I've read it in the past, pero this year, not yet. So I got curious. And which is brilliant because it is really very French. What makes it really very French, and which is a very nice kind of respite, I don't know how you pronounce it, parang ano siya breath of fresh air whenever she talks about food. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And for me, that was the part that was so French. And I enjoyed it, really appreciated it. Kasi dun ko na-feel yung pagka-French nung libro, tsaka nung setting, tsaka nung character niya. She describes, every now and then, she would describe na, she would wake up and then she would prepare breakfast with the dad, and then she would describe the food that they eat, where they eat, the coffee, the tea, the cakes, and that's the lighter part of the book. And I always enjoy that part. And she inserts it really cleverly, very smartly. Kasi parang when there are heavy moments na magkakasunod, magkakaroon ng insert na about food. And you kind of, for me, as the reader, I loved it. Just, that is French. The author placed the entries about food perfectly and actually contributes to the storytelling, contributes to bringing the plot forward. Why, for example, she talks about her food in relation to her relationship to her father, in relation to her relationship with her mom. She talks about food in the moment when she's down and alone. So it kind of, it brings you forward in the story. It's not placed randomly just for the sake of saying that this is a French book, it has to have a food entry. No. The food entry is there because she is French. And because she is French, then she loves food. And it makes sense. It's part of her identity. So I thought it was brilliant. I loved it. I super appreciated that part. I've been seeing this book in a few online stores, online bookstores, and some, mentions here and there. But I've never really seen this in the bookstore physically. Never talaga. So never ko siya nakita sa bookstore. But then, when I saw it in a few online bookstores that I follow, and I thought, I got curious and I read up on it, and yun nga, I got curious, so I went ahead and bought one. If you're looking for a simple, heartfelt, coming-of-age story about acceptance and identity, this is maybe something that you would appreciate. Parang very subdued. It's not loud. It's not flamboyant. It's not dramatic. Alam mo yun? It's not theatrical. It's nothing like that. It's a very silent type of writing, right? No sensationalism, parang ganon. Walang ganon. It's very silent and mellow and tender and very authentic, I think, is my word for it more than anything. A lot of introspection, a lot of looking inward than outward. If you get what I mean, then this is that type of book. So for me, I enjoyed it because it's like Margot took me to her journey in finding out about herself. It's like I'm reading her diary, her thoughts, and I was with her along the way. That's why at the very end of her story, I felt what she felt. So it was really good. It's really well written. Yeah, I hope that helped.